In action, man. We are back in the building. Jarrett Adams on the check-in. Tyrese Trevor on the check-in. DJ Dark Kent.
Yeah, I'm here.
Fellas. What's going on? Speaking to the microphone.
I'm here.
We here, man. Definitely wanted to get my boy DJ.
Edition, man.
Another
we working hard, man. We working hard right now, man.
I wanted to get my boy DJ Dark Kent on the show. Number one, I'm gonna explain like the relationship. You feel me? Number one, when I first started doing music, this was one of the only, like, I'm not even gonna say one of the only DJ that like you could actually have a conversation with that wasn't condescending or running around.
Like, to get back to me later.
Yeah, that kind of thing. One of the only DJs that was actually giving people a chance. You know what I mean? And he did that for me, so I'm sure he's done that for other artists. And I've seen other artists, you know what I mean, at a time where most people say, you know what, I need $700 and we could da-da-da-da. He actually sat down with us and was like, you know what, yo, you could either spend $600 on this, which honestly I could do for you, but it might not help that much, or you could spend $200 on this and then put this work in yourself and yada, 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 yada. You know what I mean? And not a lot of DJs are doing that at all. I don't know one DJ. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Then also a dude that we've had conversation. He says, you know what? I'm thinking about doing this or I'm thinking about doing that. And then I see him do it. You know what I mean? A lot of people say, yo, I'm about to do this or I'm about to do that. And not that I care or hold it against him, but it just never happened. And not because it just didn't happen, but they honestly didn't even try that hard. You know what I mean? So definitely one of the people that I know personally that if they tell me like, and it's not like we talk all the time, but just from the times that we talk like, yo, I'm thinking about buying a property, and then on one side you could do photo shoots, and then on one side you could record music, and then on another side you could like rent out it and have like a mixtape release party. And then 6 months later or a year later, however long it took, he invited me to come through to exactly what that was. Yeah. You know what I mean? A building like that. You know what I mean? And also, I've been able to just see his growth as a man. I remember we had conversations about your mom or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then, and because I had issues with my mom as well. And then without even just talking to him, just seeing it on his social media, I could just tell that relationship that situation had just changed. You know what I mean? 100%. So I just seen the growth in that. And the last thing that I want to say about him is another thing that impressed me was just on the sideline, seeing a dude that was a DJ, or so I thought at the time. I don't even know if you could really call yourself DJ Dark Kent anymore, but like a DJ. And then when COVID hit, a lot of people was lost scrambling. Not saying that you wasn't, but my man just completely rebranded himself with effortlessly and turned into an information
hub
guru, financial advisor. Like, I've never seen a dude go from playing songs in a club, a virus hit, the next week he telling people how to play the stocks. You know what I mean? And being straight genuine with it. So I definitely want to just give you your flowers.
Thank you, my brother.
While you here right now. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that because I definitely believe in that. So, yeah, man, it's been a fun spin this entire COVID. I've been having fun with this because, you know, most of the people who know me know that these are some of the things that I've been about, or you know what I mean. I've been preaching and speaking to like some of my closer friends about. But I think that the pandemic just really gave us an opportunity for everybody to stop and listen, and there weren't enough information or resources about anything, like just even simple things like unemployment. You know what I mean? And who qualified for unemployment, and you know how open that was. Like there were just simple things that I realized that people weren't privy to. And so I say this all the time, man. Like most good things, right? A black woman emboldened me to continue to go on. Like I literally said something on the gram, and she was like, "Yo, you need to really continue to say this because people need to hear it, and I appreciate you." And she was cute, so you know that helped. So of course I listened. Right? So I'm like, all right. Bet, and it's gonna keep you in my DMs. Dope. And so
I'm gonna keep doing that.
I'm gonna keep doing it. So that's why, you know, when I even started the Blackshire Hathaway playbook, like one of the first things that I said in it was like, yo, thank a black woman for just being as dope as she is, because I feel like enough of us as men don't really appreciate women as muses, right, and allowing them to influence us to do certain things. So a lot of this has just been influenced by a multitude of females who have either just asked me like, yo, teach me how to do stocks, or teach me this, or teach me that, and it's just been like, all right, you know what, I'm gonna make sure that I give this knowledge to everybody.
Do you think that's how women should look at us as well, as muses, like the same way?
No, because a muse technically can only be a woman. You know what I'm saying? A muse when you understand divine feminine energy, a muse can only be a woman. But I feel like women definitely need to understand their ability to embolden a man for him to lead the proper life. You know what I'm saying? I feel like because the reason why you want to be able to embolden your man to lead is because the first guy through the door always gets shot in the face. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always riskier being the first one out there. Like, if I got to figure out what's going on in the world, let me take lead. Because I can take the hits. I could get a little beat up and come back, and you don't have to suffer through that. But she has to make you feel like you can do that. You know what I'm saying? And then when you get hit, she got to be the one that's there to be like, what you doing down there? Like, you don't belong down there. You know exactly where you're supposed to be at. Mm-hmm. Get up, do your thing, and then keep it moving. Like, you know what I'm saying?
My boy DJ Dark Kent has been talking for 2 minutes and is already
cracked.
Drop the gem. I didn't want to fuck up the podcast. I was about to record it and send it to someone that needed to hear that. But it's all good. I'm gonna wait till the edit.
Technically, what is a muse though? Like, I don't.
Yeah, like look that up. Look that up. What is a muse?
Yeah, a muse. So to be a muse, it is to be influential in an artistic form. Right, and if you know anything about divine feminine energy or divine masculine energy, majority of like music, right, is of the feminine energy, because it stems from like poetry and song and things of that nature. So if you want to be influenced, right, like if you want somebody to like,
I want to know what it is too.
If you want somebody who can influence that art creation, right, like I need to be able to take from the essence of that, which is divine feminine energy, and then create with that in mind. That's why Drake is who Drake is. And if you remember, everybody was like, yo, he's so emotional, he in touch with his feelings, he this, he that. Well, he's actually pulling from amused divine feminine energy and being able to
he's
pen
using
that.
the women to power his creativity.
100%. And he'll tell you that in certain songs.
I do that
like
shit too.
100%.
Absolutely, man.
100%.
That's crazy. It says definition for muse in Greek or Roman mythology. Each of the 9 goddesses, the daughters of Zeus and Mycene, I don't know how to pronounce that, who preside over the arts and sciences, or a person or personified force who is the source of inspiration for a creative artist.
And so originally it was goddesses.
I definitely had that.
All
though,
goddesses.
I didn't know it was a muse though. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, dang, like some of these women, bro.
Yeah.
A little too powerful for my
100%. 100%. 100%.
Like, whoa.
No, I say it all the time. There's certain women who are so in touch with their divine feminine. Erykah Badu is a woman who's so in touch with her divine feminine energy. I would crumble. Like I'd sit in her presence. I'd just be like, whatever you want me to do, I'm gonna do it. No problem. Cause she in touch with that, and she has that ability.
Maybe you think so? Maybe different when. Maybe I guess so. I don't know. I don't know if Erykah Badu would do that for me. It may be another girl that'd do it for me that doesn't act like Erykah Badu.
I'm saying energy is subjective, right? Certain energies are going to affect other energies and whatnot. So there's a certain energy that she gives off to me that I just feel like she'd have me under a spell. Like I'm good. I don't even want to like. You know, when Drake was like, I went to Erykah Badu house and I had tea, I was like, that's a danger zone, bro. Because she's going to influence you to do some amazing stuff, and then you not going to want to not accomplish it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
fact,
that's the thing where it's like, yo, what if I'm not focused on that right now? What if I don't really want to be a painter? She influenced me to start painting, and now I got to do that now. You know what I mean? Like, she will, I feel like she has that ability.
And you don't think men have that ability to like influence
I feel like
women?
Men
So
have
here's
the
the thing.
ability to change a woman's life just by meeting them, though, too, though.
So, but here's the thing. You got to understand what I'm saying, right? Do men have the ability to influence women? Yes, but it's through a different medium. It's through action. It's literally through action. Whereas a woman has the ability to do that through literally just being there. If the right woman walk in this room right now, you're going to feel inspired to do something. No man is walking in a room full of women and a woman is like, I need to write a song and paint a picture, and that's not where it's happening. That's not how that's not. But if a woman walk in here right now, we could probably all write a song about her and be in competition, no less, for no reason, and she wouldn't even ask for it.
Yo, Todd, man, I was telling you, bro. I met that girl. I was like, yo, I gotta sign up, like sign me the fuck up, bro. I
happens,
met that girl
man.
one time, bro, and I was like, bro, like
It happens.
I found the right spot for me. Like if chicks like that are pulling up, like I'm sold, bro. I met her.
He said I'm sold.
One time, bro, and I was like, shit, like this. I knew that was the spot for me, like to podcast in Atlanta. Because I met this one girl.
The energy.
And it's just the energy, bro. I was like, whoa, like shit's crazy, like shit's crazy.
So that sounds
really
dangerous.
true.
It could be
It
a
is.
strength and
It
your
is.
weakness.
It
And your
is.
weakness. It could be a strength and your weakness.
100%, and that's why it's so important to choose who you interchange a certain amount of energies with. You know what I mean? Because that's an investment. Like you know what I mean. Whoever it is that you spending time with and exchanging energy, you got to make sure that you're ready to receive that and then be around that for a certain amount of time, because it can be something that for men, right? The problem with men is we'll start to see the way that she looks at us and then allow that to feed our ego, right? And so the thing about ego is that's the way that I think the world sees me. That's what my ego is. My ego is telling me how I think everybody else sees me. But pride is how I see myself based on my own merits and values. And when we allow a woman to feed our ego, if her image of us changes, it has the ability to shatter our ego. And now we've placed too much emphasis on the way in which she sees us, and now we feel like that's a representation of how everybody else sees us. So that's when it can become dangerous, when you allow it to feed your ego too much and you're not really in touch with, like, yo, what's your pride? What do you actually stand on that you don't really give a fuck about what the rest of the world has to say? You don't care about their perception of you at all. What is important to you? What do you stand on? What are your merits? How do you view yourself as far as having added value to your community or your immediate friends or your circle, whatever? Those are the core things that you stick to because you have results from them. And when you allow her to be like, yeah, you that dude, you do this and you know that, and you like, yeah, you know what? You're right. I am that. That's when it gets a little cloudy.
Because she could change her mind, and then what if she change her mind? You know,
100%.
If your worth is based on what the women thinks, then it's not going to end up bad for you. I guarantee this is Alvin calling me. Oh, this is my dad. Can't answer that right now, but yeah. Did you guys want to touch on that? Because I got more questions for Dark King.
Go ahead.
Yeah, man. I saw you on Instagram talking about like dividends and like
Yes.
Obviously, I'm not like too in tune with that.
Okay.
So like, if you could give me like the basic like rundown on what exactly it is or how it works.
So just dividends specifically?
I don't even know what it even relates to.
So
like specifically.
So all right. So a dividend is think of it almost as a kickback, right? Think of it almost as like a return payment for you investing in somewhere. So the concept that I like to use is the cup, right? If you take your money and then you put it into a cup, and that cup represents a business, and that cup goes and then grows. Your money is growing with that cup. So now the amount of money that you have in that cup is more. Now the cool thing about some of these cups, some companies that offer dividends, when they grow, right, a percentage of the profit that they've made from you giving them your money, they kick that back to you. Just because they made money from you helping them grow, they invested your money and made money. So not only did your money grow because it's tied to the value of the company, but now they're giving you some of the profits back. And that's what a dividend is.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But Does it like what companies allow dividends?
So there's a lot of different companies that actually offer dividends.
Which are the most profitable?
So
Right
here's
now.
the thing.
Yeah, how's it work?
The highest yielding dividends are typically, you're going to find them in the energy sector, right?
Mhm.
But I don't like people to be in energy right now because it's a dying sector. Solar's coming out. There's so many different
Forms of energy.
yeah, different forms of energy that the traditional forms are not the safest, and because of restructuring in companies, dividend yields get cut. So if they were going to give you 20% of, every $100 that you invest, now they're only going to give you 10 or whatever. So I tell people the number one thing to do is to stick to something that's around 6%. Find a good company that you trust, that you either use all the time, that you truly believe in is going to be here, and something that you can see good growth. So you want to be able to see good growth on the dividend payouts, but you don't want to be anything above 6%. That's when it starts to get a little subject to be cut. So one of my favorite dividend plays is AT&T. As long as AT&T is around anywhere from $27 to $29, I like to dump a bunch of money in there to make sure that I because it's a good company. It's going to be around for a while. Right now, I've actually removed all of my shares of AT&T because they have some restructuring to do. I saw some other opportunities on the board, so I took that out. Right, but I had already gotten paid a dividend, so I took some of my dividend money and reinvested it in other companies.
Yeah.
So there's
How often does the dividend pay out?
Quarterly.
Quarterly.
So some dividends pay out every 3 quarters. Some dividends pay out. Well, some companies will actually pay you a dividend monthly. So different companies do different dividend payouts, but typically it's on a quarterly basis.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's pretty lucrative, would you say, or
So
slow grind, or is it or does it depend how much money you put in? Obviously,
So it's about how much capital you have, and so the goal, right, long term would be to park a significant amount of your money in a good, safe, well portfolio of dividend plays, so that you can now get paid off of your dividend. You can live off of your dividend payments. Right? There's someone that I follow who's got a couple mil in the market, and he's getting, in dividends alone, he's getting $100,000 on average, right? Per year he makes about $100,000 just on dividend payments.
Yeah.
So literally, he could live a lifestyle off of just that. He could set up, look, I make $100,000 a year plus whatever else that I'm doing to make money that has to not be touched. But I can literally just live off of dividends. I can invest my money. I can do whatever it is that I want because my financial freedom is set up so that, look, I know for a fact I make $100,000 a year off this. I ain't gonna spend more than $100,000 a year on this, and this. Everything else that I get, I'll reinvest.
When did you start getting into all of this, and what made you get into it?
Yeah, that's my next question.
When did I start getting into it? This was years ago. I've been into stocks. What made me start? I met a man, Sheldon Wilson. He was like a big brother to me. He was a god brother. I would consider him. That's what I call him, my god brother. He was very, very Nipsey Hussle like, in the sense that he saw how big things like coding were going to be, like learning how to code, learning how to do web design, learning HTML, JavaScript, C++, like learning those things.
Yeah.
And so he made it his duty to set up a program for students in inner city areas to be able to learn those things. When I saw him do that, he also introduced me to Russell Simmons, because he was a stockbroker and he had helped manage Russell's portfolio, because Russell only wanted to work with African American investors. So he had these connects, and I saw him, maneuvering in certain ways that I was like, yo, this is dope. And then I got to go to his house. And I'll never forget the address for his house. He doesn't live there anymore, so I can say it, but it was on Turtle Hollow Drive in Manalapan, New Jersey. Phenomenal crib, amazing family, and he inspired me just by being there. It was the first time, on MTV Cribs where you see the remotes that control like the blinds and the whole house.
Yeah.
He had one of those, and I was like, I need this. Like, I need to know how you doing this. And then, not long after we had met, he actually ended up retiring from the market and retiring in general and moving down to Florida with 5 kids and a wife, and became like a youth pastor, and was pretty much just like, I'm good. My kids are set, right? They've all got portfolios. They'll be millionaires by the time they're 18. And that just inspired me to just be like, yo,
How old was he?
38, 39 when he did this.
Wow.
So that was, that was just like an all inspirational person to be around, to see what leverage he had, from just having financial freedom and just being like, I don't want to work for this job anymore. He had went through something that was racially motivated, and he was like, yeah, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this no more, and I'm good. I have my knowledge. I know I can invest. I'm not going to keep making money for y'all when y'all don't respect who I am, when I can just make money in this market myself. And that was all I needed to see. That was all I needed to experience. That was all I needed to be around to understand.
That's interesting that you used the word inspired when you said you went to his house. Let me ask you a question. What were you more inspired by? His house or his family?
It was
situation?
No, it was I think that was the first person who I felt like I saw live a designed life. I feel like now I live a designed life where I have financial freedom, so I'm not worried about bills, right? And I have the ability to invest. I have the ability to travel when I want to. I have the knowledge to buy enough wealth building assets so that I don't have to worry about money. That's the biggest thing. And when I saw someone living like that, and I saw him, he would tell me stories about things, situations like he bought his wife a Beamer, and one day she jokingly said, no, you can't drive my car. So he was like, all right, and went and bought himself the same car pretty much. And it's like, all right, I don't want to do that, but I want to have the ability to, like, if somebody tells me, no, I can't drive their car, I'll go buy another one, the same one in a different color. That was the, like, leverage that I was just like, yo, dude. And then I saw him, like, he introduced me to one of his neighbors who owned, 5 mailbox et ceteras. And so I'd never really heard of franchising. I didn't know you could own. I thought this was one company. Mm-hmm. And so, his neighbor was teaching me about the business of franchises and owning McDonald's and owning mailbox et ceteras and all. And then I remember going to his house, and all of these crazy multi-million-dollar homes, right? They typically have like shrubbery, so your yard is not connected to your neighbor's yard. Yeah. Well, because he and his neighbor were good friends, they knocked down the shrubbery, and every like Thanksgiving or whenever they wanted to, they would have a huge football game from yard to yard. Just like all the homies come through, we all get together, we have this crazy, we each got houses. Your deck is the touchdown, my deck is the other touch, like. And I was like, man, this is amazing. Like,
great word for amazing.
This is amazing. Like, you guys do this when you want to, like, because you can. And you guys are talking about what Ferrari is coming out next, and you like. Mm-hmm. And so you want to know what he? One of the things that he did that changed me was he gave me a watch. Gave me my first nice expensive watch. It was a Skagen. And
how old were you at the time?
God, I was 15 maybe.
Damn, wow.
I was like 15, wow. 16. And he made me work for it. I had to work for it. It wasn't just a gift. I had things I had to do around the house and whatnot. But he gave me that, and it taught me the importance of time. He taught me the importance of time. He showed me family. He showed me financial freedom. Like, I saw him at home with the kids, like waking up, coming downstairs in the basement, playing N64, and like, just being like, it's all good. It's Tuesday, but it's all good. Like, I'm not worried about anything. We're in this house. This house is paid for. I'm selling this house. And it was just like, you really don't work for money. Money works for you. And that was the first light bulb of being like, wow, that's possible. That's a thing. Mm-hmm. Never really knew that was a thing, but that's a thing. Like, your money can work for you. So he introduced me to that, and it blew my mind. And I've been on a chase to have financial freedom ever since.
Damn, since you was like 15, 16?
15, 16.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people at that age don't really, I mean,
But who at that age is even
around that.
meeting somebody
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that?
Yeah, it was a blessing. I mean, but the first thing that happened was I got fired from my job.
Mm-hmm.
I was 14 years old. I had my first 9-to-5 CDG. I'll never forget it. Civic
You
Development
got a
Group.
9 to 5 at 14.
Yep.
What-
Because
what happened?
well, I
with
wasn't.
school?
It wasn't 9 to 5, but
okay.
my first quote unquote, like where I'm
Yeah,
getting
okay,
a
okay.
paycheck and I'm
Uh-huh.
actually working for someone else. It wasn't. I was doing telephone marketing after school,
Okay.
so I would call from like 5 to 9,
Okay.
or 4 to 8, something like that. But I was 14. I had a title regular job, and it was cool. And at one point, I kind of had enough. They switched bosses. The new boss was an asshole, hated him. Everybody hated him. And I remember one time telling someone else, like out of frustration, like, yeah, I'm going to quit. And that person told the boss, and he told me that I had quit. He was like, yeah, I heard you quit, so you can't come back. I was 14, so I didn't quite understand the leverage of like, man, that ain't how it worked. You want me out of here, you better file some paperwork and tell me to come back. Don't just tell me, I heard you quit, so don't come back. I was 14, so I had no
He
idea.
tried to play you as far
Yeah, so
as
I couldn't get unemployment, and but the way it just made me feel was like, wait a minute. You can try to tell me that you heard that I quit, and now I can't come back to work? No, I will never. Like, you'll never, ever. So from that moment, it just had me against the system ever since then. So then when someone showed me how to like never be a victim again, I was like, yeah, that's what I'm seeking. That's what I want.
Yeah. All right. Well, I understand that I never been to your loft, right? But I understand that you put in like a lot of work as far as getting that up off the ground. So like, what was that like, taking that on as like a creative project for you? Like, I understand you might have been like going through this, that, and the third.
Man, the story with that,
get off the ground, and definitely give that give your loft a shout out as well. It's like,
yeah, shouts to Loft 9, man. We've changed the addresses from when I had the first building. We had
Oh, it's at another building.
Yeah,
now.
so I moved locations
Okay.
for wiser financial reasons. I'm actually about to relocate myself personally to be out west more. So it's an easier task to manage this new building. It's a
out
blessing.
West, as in
LA,
California?
yeah. I'll be moving out there in a few months. So the story with the loft, man, it was started as a desire for an office. I just was like, yo, if I'm doing this DJ thing for real, right? I had people like you who was hit me up like, yo, I want to meet, and it's like, yeah, all right, well, come meet you somewhere, or we could go to a Starbucks or whatever. And I was like, yo, I need to be able to take this thing a little bit more serious, and in doing so, I should probably get an office. And me saying like, yo, I want to get an office kind of turned into me saying, I need to think bigger. Right? It was like, I'm not thinking big enough. Why just an office? I've always been in love with music. I've always, been making beats as a hobby. Why not get a studio? I have enough artists that always want me to play their music, right? What if I got a studio in one room in my office in here, and the artists will just be like, yo, I'll play your stuff, just record it in here. I was like, at that point, it's going to pay for the office. Like, you know what I mean? The artists that come in there, they get in the win-win. They got to record anyway. So cool, I got a studio, you come record, that'll help pay the rent. And then I went to my motorcycle clubhouse because I used to ride, and I remember I was kind of low man on the totem pole, and they had this motorcycle clubhouse in Newark, and I was in a group chat, and they was like, yo, should we throw an event or should we just pay the rent? And I was like reading that, and people were like, nah, we'll just throw some money up and pay the rent. And I was like, wait, you have the ability to make, you guys know for a fact that you make at least, like the lowest amount you can make in a night is $1,100 ever. And rent's like $15. And you mean to tell me you would rather just pay that than to just throw in it? Like, I'll throw my own event in there every day. And and so immediately I was like, I'm not going to use theirs. I'm not thinking big enough. If I'm going to get a space, it's going to be my office. It's going to be a studio. It's going to be a place I can do events as well. And I started looking, and then I found the building that what used to be Loft 9, and that was a hassle. That was a whole hassle. There's an entire story behind what happened with me trying to get the loft. I got robbed for every dollar I had in the middle of trying to secure everything. Then right after that, the house that I was staying in, I was living in the basement. That the owner of the house lost the house to foreclosure. Caldwell Bank came to knock on my door and tell me, living in this basement apartment is illegal. You got to be out of here in a week. That was right after I got robbed for every dollar I had. So it was like, you have no bread.
Robbed in what way?
So DJing, trying to secure, pay for, get everything together with the loft, I had gotten to a point where instead of putting the money in the bank, because I had certain things that were on auto pay, certain bills that were just coming out, I would rather just keep my money in cash, because most of what I was getting was cash. And so to be disciplined, because a lot of us don't have a lot of financial discipline, so sometimes we do certain things. Like, I've seen older people give their money to someone else to hold because they don't want to spend it, right? So we don't, like, in our culture, we don't have a lot of financial discipline, and I didn't have that. So I knew I had to give it to myself. I just didn't know how to do it. And so with all this cash and me staring at it, what I would do is literally zip tie it. Every time I had $1,000, I would zip tie it so that I could not touch this money.
Zip tie, like how?
Like an actual zip tie, like an actual plastic.
Like the thing that they put on your wrist and stuff?
Yes,
okay,
like a plastic zip tie. I would fold the money and zip tie it around it. So literally, that was $1,000. Can't touch it. In order for me to want to touch it, I have to go get scissors and cut. Like, that was my discipline.
Yeah.
And I had begun to do that, and that was a great savings plan. And then not moving with the best of wisdom, meeting a woman who was in touch with a certain aspect of her divine feminine energy, she began to wow me, and not long after that, she robbed me. Long story short, it's pretty much what happened. I was dealing with her, and unfortunately, she knew where I kept the stash at. Then, it was an on and off thing. We weren't serious. So she hit me up one day and was like, hey, it was random, super random. And the question that she asked was like, how long are you going to be in the club? Not like, when are you coming home? When are you going to be, but how long of a window, pretty much, was she asking, do I have to get in this house, to break in your house and alleviate you of all your funds? And she did. And then a week later, I got a knock on the door from Caldwell Bank telling me I had to be out of there. So very, very, I ended up moving with a friend, staying in his basement. And that was when I started smoking weed. That was exactly when I did not smoke.
Because I saw you smoking weed a lot. I noticed that.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's smoking weed a lot. Yeah. Like, I don't ever remember him
I didn't. So
doing that.
What happened was when I moved in with my friend, he was an artist, just like you, right? Somebody who I championed a lot and was like, holding you down. But he and I we lived close, so we had developed a dope friendship relationship, and it was more than just the artistry. And so he called me up to ask me how I was doing. I told him the truth, like, not good. Told him everything that was happening. He was like, you can come stay in my basement. We could do, you know what I'm saying? Don't worry about paying me nothing. Like, you've always held me down when it comes to music, so don't even worry about it. Like, just get back on your feet. I know what it is that you're trying to do. He knew the dream. He saw the vision, so he was like, bro, I know what's going on. Don't worry about it. And I went to his crib, and he's an artist, right, who dabbles in the herbal, medicinal, playing field. And I'm in his house, right? So he's like, first off, you need this, right? And I'm like, I'm a guest in your house. I don't, but why not? And what it did for me was it gave me a sense of mental clarity, where I was able to dissect my problems. Yeah. Okay. Once I was, under the influence, I was able to dissect my problems with less emotion and a lot more logic. And I was able to find a lot of probable solutions to really be able to make moves happen and get back on my feet. And that's what I started to do. I just started to finesse situations where people who were like, I started looking at gigs that I had as a DJ. And people were like, hey, if you know a lighting guy, right, that's less than $5,000, let us know. Because these lighting they're like, oh, these lighting guys, they all want to charge, $5,000, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, okay, I'll find you a guy for $4,000. And they were like, for real? I was like, yeah, me. I was like, just give me a deposit, and I got you. They gave me the deposit. I went and bought lights with it. I didn't even have any lights at the time, but they gave me. I started seeing, like, you know what? I'm gonna just move this situation. I saw the chessboard a lot more clearly, and so, that helped me to really start to maneuver these pieces. I was able to financially get back on my feet from staying with my friend for about a little under a year. I think it almost took me, right, of just staying there. I can't remember. It might have been less than that. But yeah, I was able to get back on my feet and to be able to have enough money to invest in the business again, because that was a very big thing too. And then I spent my last dollar on it.
Yeah.
I spent my last. I was like, this is gotta work. I gotta make it work. Mm-hmm. And I built it piece by piece, brick by brick. I gave myself enough of a runway with my gigs. That was the most dangerous thing that I did. Was I knew I had gigs lined up, right, for months. So I was like, even though I'm spending my last right now, I know for a fact that I'm supposed to have this money coming in. Yeah. Super gamble, because as we see right now, pandemics can happen and gigs can be done.
Yes, sir.
So it was a super gamble, but it paid off, and it worked out. It's not something that I would suggest people do. I would tell you, stack your cash and have a nice runway, have a nice literal financial runway of cash. But it worked for me because I would say this, it worked for me because I was driven by my passion. I was passionate about it. You know what I mean? I wasn't doing it for the money. And that's the thing that I like to tell people is, like, you can be led by motivation, right? Motivation can push you. But if it's not in a direction that you want to go in, then that motivation won't even have that effect anymore. Right? There's so many times that we're motivated to do certain things for our parents. Right? Oh, I want to be a doctor or a lawyer because my mom wants me to be a doctor or a lawyer. That's the motivation. It's like the parental, I want to be this because I want your approval. And then that changes. And then you're like, you know what? I kind of want to do this because this is what makes me feel good. Mm-hmm. And so I always like to ask people, like, if you had this imaginary amount of money, whatever you think is going to make you happy, whatever that amount is that you like, yo, if I had this in the bank, I'd be straight. Whatever this is, and you had your bills on auto pay. So that means you have that money in the bank. It's not going to come out. Mm-hmm. And your bills are automatically being paid for you. What would you do every day? What would you want to do every single day? Because money's not an issue. When you find that, you found your passion. And the thing about that is, instead of being pushed by motivation where you could be led in the wrong direction, your passion will pull you. It'll literally pull you, and you won't be able to fight it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I pull you on your shirt, you could try to lean back, but you're still going to be coming. I have more leverage pulling you than you do trying to pull back. And that's what passion is. Passion will pull you in the right direction, because you're going to end up going through bullshit. Like, you might not get robbed for every dollar you have and then told that you got to move out of your crib in a week, but you're going to go through bullshit. Life is full of it. Mm-hmm. But when you're led by your passion, it don't matter. You just step around it. And that was the thing that really, like, I love to tell people, is like, yo, follow your passion. The reason why I made it after going through what I went through, and there's so many other moments in that story of failure. There's times where the truck that I had on the way to a gig broke down, had to get a new truck. The car that I was driving caught 6-7 flats. Like, so many different just trials, tribulations that I had to go through, that it was like, I wanted it bad enough that this continued to pull me. And so I didn't have to worry about ever stopping or ever not completing my goal. It was literally like, all right, how do I get to it? How do I get here? I see the end of it. There's nothing something might come in my way, but I know where I'm going. Something's pulling me there. So it's like, motivation is pointless. I tell people that, like, motivation is cool, but it's pointless. If you're not passionate about it, because motivation is fleeting, it'll leave. It will leave. It will change. It will diminish. It will,
and it does sometimes.
It does, bro. It does. Like, even for the war report, like me, bro, dog. Like, I just been so many times where I didn't even want to keep going. And didn't want to put out episodes or didn't want to podcast. anymore, and like you lose people along the journey, like you lose chicks, and you just like, man, like I don't even know. Like, I'm not in the mood to do
Right.
shit. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
I'm really not in the mood right now
Word.
to really be podcasting like that. But I say like honestly, you gotta find it within you, but
Mm-hmm.
also like me, I would say like having good friends, having older brothers,
Definitely.
definitely has like pushed me to like keep going, and now we like still rocking out. So like, and honestly, one thing key that you said is like you're gonna lose people like along the journey too. So
Mhm.
like make sure that like whatever like your passion it is, like isn't attached to like a person. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Because like the person can leave and like you
100%.
you'll like legit forget like why you even started or like what life was like before you met the person.
100%.
So like that shit is so super key, bro. And one thing I gotta commend you on is like you're a huge risk taker, bro. Risk, you know what I'm saying? Like risk. You know what I mean? If you don't take no risk, you know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna get the reward. So like
100%.
you're living testament to that right now, bro. You're motivated me. Shit.
If I could say anything, bro, is that I'm a calculated risk taker.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because 9 times out of 10, I'm betting on myself.
Yeah.
You know, I'm betting on my ability to make something work. And that's the risks that I like to take. That's why I like to do the stock market.
Even when you said that, I was like, I honestly don't even know if he's a risk taker, because anything that he's told me, I don't even be feeling like, oh, why that's risky. I just be feeling like, oh, why that's what you about to do. I think you about to do that.
Finding the loft space and just being like, you know what, I'm gonna just make this my home.
No, 100%. There's risk in that.
A risk taker and a fucking go getter,
right?
Like
it's a balance. So when you number one, when you're led by your passion, right, you literally don't see it as risk. You see it as a goal, right? So, but from the outside looking in,
it's risky.
It is risky because someone else's perspective is like, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't put everything, all of my chickens in that basket and believe for them to lay eggs for me to be. That's not how I would move. So it takes perspective to look at certain things as risky, right? I've had enough success betting on myself that it's been like, this ain't a risk. This is actually just how I move, right? Like that's how I started my DJ career. I remember when I first started, nobody wanted to book me. There wasn't nobody, like when I was trying to be serious, there was nobody booking me. Nobody was looking for me. It wasn't until I was like, all right, well, cool, then guess what? I'm going to become your competition. And I'll throw my own parties. And I'll throw, me and my business partner, we will throw my own parties to build up my name. Instead of me relying on someone else to book me, now I'm your competition. Now the price is double. Because in order for you to book me, you're actually asking me to not be your competition. And it ended up going, this is no lie, it ended up going from me trying to get certain people to book me. They wouldn't book me. I became competition, and they ended up doing parties at my club. So it was like, now you're collaborating on my dime. I'll give you whatever percentage I feel like giving you. And so when you have enough moments like that of like, man, I bet on myself. It's not a bet. That's how I walk. Like that's literally how it's a lifestyle that I live, where it's like, bro, first off, I live a designed life. I live a designed life. I truly believe that. That's my mantra. I design the life that I live, because there are more things that I have control of than things that have control of me. You know what I'm saying? Like there's more things I'm in control of than there are things that are in control of me. I value some of the things that I have, but I don't cherish them as anything of a definition to me. So if I lose anything, it's not in control of me. It's not in control of how I feel. It's not in control of how I move. It might be in control of the circumstance, but that doesn't change me. Just because my car blew up, all right, well, bet now I got to just figure out another way to be mobile, to do X. Yeah, that's it. That would be a crazy situation, but hey, at least I wasn't in it. Like that's where gratitude comes in, and it's just like, all right, I got it. I can continue to walk in that direction because I know that my life is designed. There's nothing that has super control over me. And so, yeah, like I said, man, when you are led by your purpose, it's less of a risk and more of just a calculated investment, you know?
Okay.
Back in action.
Action again. Yeah, man, one thing I definitely had to ask you about was the loan video that you put out. That thing, I'm not sure. Did you ever like check like how it did across all platforms, like how viral it got? Because I remember, I never forget the day Tyrese called me. He was like, "Yo, it's this dude. Like, I know you heard of Dark Kent before." I heard of Dark Kent before. DJ Dark Kent. He like, yeah, he got this video ever since Corona. He just been on this shit. And hold on, I can't even answer this either. Yeah. But he's like, yo, ever since Corona, like, he just been on his finance shit. Like, I don't know. You gotta watch this video. Apparently, you could get a free ban from the government.
Yeah.
So, like he sent that to me. I might have sent it to like 7 people my damn self. Like, yo, I gotta watch this video. Because the ban came in about 2 days.
Right.
And then I was getting calls like, yo, the question I got to ask you about is like, I started getting calls like, yo, apparently if you put 9 employees, they're going to send you 9 bans.
Right.
Right. So what's your take on that? Because I actually called like a
great question.
Yeah, I called a licensed like CPA like that I had seen like an online ad for to get like his opinion on it. He's like, yeah, well, do you have like the taxes that are like in like the bank, like the records that show that you have 9 employees or something like that? I was like, no. I was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, then don't do it. It's not for you. And I didn't do it. But some people did cash out with the $9,000 off the 9 employees, $10,000 off the 10 employees. So like, what was your take on that? Seeing that, because I'm not gonna say that you kind of popularized it, but to some people you kind of did, as far as showing people the method, as far as how to put the claim in a legal way.
Right.
Some people just took it, what you did, and ran with it.
Yeah, 100%.
So what's your opinion on that?
Are you talking about the 10 bands thing?
I'm talking about the 10 bands.
Yeah. I want you to ask that question one more time, just straight up.
Okay.
Right now.
All right. So just for editing purposes. So what's your opinion on people that use the SBA loan to take out 10 bands or 9 bands that they can't necessarily show on their taxes as far as their business income?
So here's my take on the whole situation. The reason why I did the video and told people to put 1 band is because most people have a side hustle. Most people have some sort of a side hustle income, and in my research and trying to figure out ways to alleviate people's stress that they were going through, I learned about grants that were going on, and in this particular grant, it was self-certified, and it was repurposed. So the original purpose was for only small businesses, and then it was repurposed for micro businesses as well. And a micro business is anything that has 1 employee. And so when I read that and I fully understood that, I realized that a
lot of people were eligible.
Everybody was eligible if you have a side hustle. If you have some sort of a side hustle and it's been affected by COVID, no matter what it is that you do, even if it's not something that you've taxed because maybe you didn't make enough to claim on taxes, or maybe you haven't structured it like that, or whatever the case may be, whatever your financial situation, you do qualify if you have that side hustle. And so I wanted to make sure that everybody understood that. Now, some people did take the other reason why I wanted to be a band is because I knew that there was a limited number of resources. And I was like, all right, if everybody gets a band, like everybody can get a band. If everybody gets 10 bands, not everybody can get the 10, right? There's like a lot less people that can actually
when that 10 band started going up, it shut down quick.
Right. So here's my take on the situation with the 10 bands. And this is all opinion based, right? They got bigger fish to fry. They are going to be investigating fraud from these situations, but anything under 10 grand is not really worth their time to investigate. Because they are doing loans as well. The loans are what they will be scrutinizing, because that money is subject to be paid back, and 9 times out of 10 that money is more than 10 bands. So the majority of the pressure for nervousness, for trying to feel like, oh, did I do something that might put me in the hot seat, should be higher felt if you took out a loan and you aren't very specific in the way in which you monetize and you utilize those funds. So pardon me, to anybody who got the 10, or the 9 or whatever, in my opinion, you straight. Right, I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't give financial advice.
Shout out! I want to just give a shout out to my boy Mike, who continuously called me and was so scared. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say what Mike it was, but I just want to shout out my boy Mike. I want to look into the camera and shout out my boy Mike because he continuously called me.
Like, yo,
continuously sent me. It was a meme of some chick in a projects getting arrested.
Yeah, that
he sent me the meme. I'm like, Mike, do you believe that, Mike?
Right, somebody made that. Like, literally,
somebody made that.
Hilarious, man. I feel like we, as a community, as a culture, have a disconnect with some of the abilities that we have to be awarded funds from the government because we haven't properly executed that. Like, I realized that, like, some of the community didn't really understand what a grant even was, which is like, listen, that's something that you don't have to pay back, or how grants work, where it's like, look, man, some of these companies got so much money that they literally have to give it away in order for taxes. Yeah. It's like, yo, I'd much rather give this money away and get good publicity, right? And the other thing is, here's how it really works. All right, if I make $10 million and the government says that they want a certain amount of it, I can now allocate some of that bread and say, well, this is grant money. And so now it goes into the fund to say, look, I'm going to give $1 million of grants away. However, in order to qualify for it, you have to have one green eye and one blue eye, which is like nobody, right? Nobody's going to be able to qualify for that. So guess what? That money is still there for me to be able to utilize for other things because nobody qualified for it. But I also didn't get taxed on it because I said, no, I didn't make that money. I put it over here. It was grant money. So a lot of these funds are like shell game money, where some of these companies are just parking bread just to be able to say, nope, this was a loss. We didn't make this much money. We actually gave some of it away. So it has to go to certain places. Yeah. And when you start to understand, like, oh, man, y'all over here just trying to cheat taxes. Guess what? I'm about to cheat y'all. Like, when you starting to just be like, like, nah, y'all not.
A lot of people that I talk to, like, during that problem, during that situation, I realized a lot of people didn't realize, like, yo, you know you're playing, and there's nothing wrong with playing fair, but I'm like, you do know that these people aren't playing fair, right? Like a lot of people are under the assumption that a lot of, whether it's white, whatever color, but these people at the top are just
not playing fair.
Got it from college, working hard, and then some people are like such in a like a different space financially that they really think $9,000 is a lot.
Right.
That they think like, yo, somebody's gonna kill me over this $9,000. Like they can't.
Like they don't even notice. That shit off the books
they can't even imagine companies or business or anything being in a position where they wouldn't notice $9,000. Right. Like just because you think that $9,000 is a lot, yo, it's people out here that if they lost $1 million, they might not notice it.
All right, so let me break this down too, right? Because here's the other fun little tidbit that people don't know. The money came from the SBA, right? The SBA is a government ran affiliation, right? So the SBA's job is for small businesses, right? If you want to start a small business but you don't have much collateral and you need a loan, you are a higher risk. So what the SBA does is they will back the loan up to a certain amount. So if you need a loan for $100,000, the SBA, like, you can go to the SBA and say, look, I need to get this loan. And the SBA will route you to a bank, and then that bank will give you that money, and the SBA will say, well, we'll guarantee that no matter what happens, we will give back 70%. So the SBA is literally just backing these funds. That's what a lot of the SBA is doing. They're just backing small business loans, right? So because they work with small businesses, the government, when they did the CARES Act, they put like $250 billion aside for the SBA to give out in loans and grants. So The way in which this was supposed to work was if you had a small business, if you had a tax ID, you should have been able to go onto this site and apply for the loan. And then once you apply for the loan, they allocated a separate fund that was just for grants. For anybody who applied, because you're saying that you need help, this is the immediate help. And every single person who applied with a small business was supposed to get $10,000, not $1,000 per employee. If you applied with a small business, you were supposed to get $10,000, period. Now, what happened is Jovita Carranza is the president of the SBA. She a little while ago, she was on trial, pretty much talking to the House and the Senate about what happened, because instead of giving every business that applied $10,000, they decided amongst themselves that they were going to break it down and give $1,000 per employee. And so when they did that, the House and the Senate, Congress was like, look, that's not what we told y'all to do. So y'all actually are misappropriating these funds, because that's not what we told you guys to do. You guys are making up your own rules. So they literally took her to trial so that she could testify about why they did that. And so their defense was, well, we wanted it to be available for everyone. We wanted it to be available for micro businesses too. And so when they used that as their defense, that created the loophole for everybody to be able to get in. Because they were saying like, oh, well, the reason why we didn't just give everybody $10,000 just for applying was because we wanted to spread it out and make sure micro businesses and, small businesses and everybody, even if you have a side hustle, like even if you're whatever, like everybody, we know that this is a pandemic and there's so many people who are affected who don't, report to this or don't do that. So we wanted to make it available for everybody. And I was like, oh, well, did you now? Well, I'm going to tell everybody. Like, because you thought that you was going to make it available for everybody and keep it a secret. And that's really what you wanted to happen.
And who knows how many other things are out there that people can apply for.
Listen. There's a ton of things. This one just happened to be the easiest and the most readily accessible, and it was self-certify. Yeah. Where it was like, look, everything that you say is on here is you certifying this yourself. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, that was once I saw that, I was like, man, it's fair game for everybody.
Okay, and my last question that I have, I don't know if you have any more questions.
Oh no, that was my last one.
My last question is in terms of just family, do you have any goals when it comes to marriage? Do you have any goals when it comes to children, or if you want to have children, do you have any goals? I want to know if you have any goals when it comes to family in the future.
So
how do you plan on living your life that way?
Here's the thing, right? When I say I live a designed life, I've let go of the desire for other people. It's a very difficult thing to do. For me, it's a little bit easier because I grew up as an only child. So I'm a little bit more comfortable with being able to be by myself for longer periods of time. But I truly feel that when people get truly comfortable with who they are, and they're not looking at outward appearances so much, they'll be able to be more comfortable with being by themselves. I feel like a lot of people want other people because they want that sense of self-validation of like, yo, I am good enough in somebody else's eyes. I am worthy of being loved in someone else's eyes, because if we don't see that from somewhere else, we can't see that in ourselves. A lot of people have that disconnect. So for me, I went through a transitional period in my life where, of course, I wanted kids for quite some time, and now I think the thought of kids would be amazing. I would love to have a little one. I see some of my friends have them, and I have nieces and nephews and whatnot, and that would be amazing to be able to pour into someone and to watch that, develop and grow. But I don't attach my self-worth or happiness to that. I make sure that I don't attach my self-worth or happiness to any other person, whether it be living or unliving, whether it be the idea of having a wife or the idea of having a child. I feel like for me, thanks to gratitude, I have enough ways to design my life with enough happiness that the things that I would think or that I used to want or that may be attached to other people don't have as much weight of importance in my life,
Okay.
because I don't depend on those things. It's like a weird answer, but it's like a transitional phase that I'm in, where it's like, yeah, I would love to be able to have kids and to have a wife, of course. I would definitely love to. I think for me, right, more than having a wife, it would be a partner. Like, I would love to have a partner who can help me on my not so great days, or who can assist me in growing whatever it is that I'm working on, or
A friend, partner at work.
or not even. And then there's also a part of me too, right, that I would like somebody just to be able to share within my happiness. You know what I'm saying? It's cool to be able to go to islands, but it's better to be able to go on a vacation.
Give someone else that experience.
Yeah, yeah. And so I think for me, no matter what level or design it comes by, I would love to be able to have a counterpart. But again, I'm just not dependent upon it when it comes to my happiness or mental structure in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, man. Appreciate you for coming through.
Yeah, man.
Definitely.
Appreciate you guys for having me,
DJ
man. I love
Dark
what you're doing.
Kent.
On the ones and twos.
Yeah, man.
Definitely glad I was able to participate in giving you flowers right now.
Thank
know
you.
What I mean?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate this and opportunities like this. I think more people need to take the steps to do what it is that you guys are doing, because it deserves to be to be heard, and it's not that difficult anymore.
Word.
It's not that
Facts.
difficult anymore. So, yeah, man.
Word. Appreciate you for coming.
Yeah,
through,
man. Yo, appreciate you guys again.